Hi everybody, Cynthia here. I'm back with a new series I'm doing called Jingle, Jangle, July Christmas series. And I'm going to be doing a couple projects for Christmas in July this month. And the first one we're going to do is a tutorial I was actually asked to do. A crisscross pocket note card. This is a smaller size with the envelope. So this is how my envelope turned out. And I'll show you the stamps and the markers I colored it with. And then this is the note card. It says, "'Tis the season." I used a little cocoa mug there, some sequins. And then when you pull it out, this is the note card you can write on. I embossed the back. And then I embossed the whole pocket card. Okay, so I did do a little bit of embossing ahead of time with all the green. The only thing that we're going to emboss together is the pocket envelope or the pocket card. Okay, so I used for the North Pole special delivery, I used this stamp I had in my stash. And what I did, there was a to and a from in here, and I just took my nippers and I cut it off, and then that way I could stamp whatever image I wanted on the inside. So I stamped a snowflake, and then around here stamped some holly berry things, and I had that little stamp in my stash from just a mix match of stamps that I had picked up from a yard sale. And then the cocoa mug and the sentiment, "'Tis the season," came from this Recollections Christmas Noel stamp set. I picked this up last year on clearance, and I got it from Michael's. So those are the stamps I used for the card. And then for the marshmallow that's in the cocoa mug, I used 101 yellow ochre marker. And these markers come from the Paper Studio, and it's the Master's Touch collection. And these are the 6-piece skin tone collections. And I picked these up when they were having a 50% off sale on them. I really love these markers. And then the green and red, I just used Jelly Roll pens. I also used a clear, kind of a shimmery pen from Jelly Roll, and then my black Sharpie pen to just highlight the scallop circles and color in the stamp. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, and the basket weave that I did for the tab, the green scallop, and the back of this note card came from this basket weave from Cuttlebug embossing folder. I'm going to be using the holly berry leaves from the Paper Studio embossing folder for the red card. So let's get started making our envelope first. Move my board here. What you're going to need is a sheet of cardstock, or like I have used here, just to be more cost effective, I used a piece of computer printer paper. So you can use either or. Oh, and I also used Memento Tuxedo Black to stamp out my images. But you'll need a sheet of cardstock or computer paper that measures 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. So if you cut it this way first, at the 8 1/4, you should be able to get 2 envelopes from one sheet. Okay, so let's get this in at the 5 1/2 inch mark. Okay. And that'll give you 2 sheets to do your envelopes. Set that aside. Get my scoreboard back. Okay. So what you want to do is line it up at the 5.5 inch mark, and you're going to score at the 1 inch. Again at the 5 inch. And then flip it and line it up at the 8 1/4, and you're going to score at 2 inches, and again at 5.5. You're going to want to fold your score lines. If you're going to send it in the mail, you might want to use cardstock, just so, because sometimes this paper is a little flimsy to send. You don't want it to tear. But I'm probably going to be using most of these for gifts for friends or in a swap. Maybe some happy mail. So I'm just using the computer paper. Okay, let's set our scoreboard aside. And you're going to end up cutting 4 corners off. So you want to end up cutting this one. And this one. It should leave you about a 1/2 inch flap for the bottom. And then you have an inch flap for the top. And then this one. I'm not going to stamp it out for you. You guys can decorate your envelopes however you choose. Or not. Keep it plain. I like to decorate them because I feel like, I don't know, I think it's a little more special when you see somebody took the time to, you know, stamp out the envelope and decorate it for you, as well as the little card. Okay, so it should look something like this. The 1/2 inch piece is the bottom part of your envelope. And what I'm going to use is some ATG tape. I'm going to run it on the outside of this flap. I'm going to fold it in and run it on the inside of this flap. And then I'll just close it up. And you can use whatever adhesive you like. And then I'm also going to run some tape on, actually let me round my corners first. I'm going to round this out with my corner rounder. And I'll do the same up here. And I just got this little corner rounder at Hobby Lobby on sale. Okay, so run some tape on the 1/2 inch part on the bottom. And fold that up. And then to finish it off, I've marked, this is my 1 inch circle punch, and I've marked where the center is on this side and the center is on this side. Just makes things easier when I line it up to do projects like this. So I'm going to try and line it up in the center and punch. And it just makes it easier for whoever gets the card. And I made it large enough so that if you decorate it with dimension, it'll fit in really nice. And it just makes it easier for the person to pull out the card. So if you want to finish it off, just put some double-sided tape on the top. And then just leave your paper on until you're ready to send the card, and then peel it off and you're ready to go. Okay, so that's the envelope. We'll set that aside and we'll start to make our card. Okay, so what you're going to need for this is a sheet of cardstock that measures 9 by 3.5. Going to line it up at the 9 inch mark. Score it at 3 inches. And again at 6 inches. And then fold up your score lines. put our scoreboard away. You want to get out your paper trimmer for the next part. Okay. Basically, we're going to be lining this score mark up here at the top of our paper trimmer to this point here, and we're going to cut it off at a diagonal. Okay, so line this point up on your cut line, and you want to get the point on your cut line. Close your cutter and trim. And you can always keep these for scraps and other projects you're doing. And you can just flip it over and do that again. This score line, top of the trimmer, and the point at the bottom at the top. Close your cutter and trim. So you should have a card that looks like that. Sorry for the banging. And what we're going to do is run a piece of double-sided tape across the bottom. You can use liquid glue if you'd like. I'm just using this for now. Okay. And then I like to turn it around and just cut those little edges off of the tape so I don't have any sticking out. Okay, let me get my bone folder. Make sure it's really well down there. Peel off your tape. And then carefully fold one flap over. Press it down and fold your next flap over. Not too shabby, right? Pretty easy. And we're gonna get out my cuddle bug and my A plate, another B plate, and another B plate here. We're going to make a little sandwich. So we have our embossing folder. Just going to pop this in and close it. Put the B plate on top and run that sandwich right through. Okay. So there is our little pocket card. I like to put my finger in there because sometimes when you emboss it, it sticks. Isn't that cute? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make the card itself. Let me get this out of the way. And you're going to need, got a bunch of stuff here. Oh, I dumped my sequins earlier because it was lightning and it scared me. And I lost my gold one, but I'll get that back later. We don't really need that. Put those on there. Okay. Okay. So for the green piece, the base of the card, this measures 2 3/4 by 3 inches high, and I ran it through my embossing folder. And before I add my white matte piece on top, I'm going to create my little tab. My tab measures 3/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch wide, and all I'm going to do is fold it in half. Actually, I think this was an inch. I'm sorry. Yes, 1 inch by a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to fold it in half. Open it back up. I ran this through my embossing folder as well. And I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue. And try and center it as best I can. Oh, I'm off center. There we go. and glue it together. Okay, so that's finished. Close up my glue bottle. I'm going to round the corners. Probably should have did that before I put my tab on, so remember that. And then the white sheet of cardstock where you can write your sentiment or stamp on it, completely up to you. That measures 2 5/8 by 2 7/8. And I used this Romantique Fiskars corner punch. I use this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and punch out my corners. Oh, this thing's so old it's sticking. There we go. Get rid of the scraps. So my corners punched out. Just going to use some liquid glue and go around here. Try and center it as best I can. And I measured it so it would leave a little bit of a green border all the way around. I'm going to run my bone folder over it lightly. I don't want to push out all those embossing things that we just did. So that there is the card. I'm going to pop that in. Okay, now to decorate it. I used a green scallop for this part here. The green scallop measures 1 5/8, and I backed it up with some foam for dimension. And then I also used a scallop that measures 1 1/2 inches around, and I also have foam on that. Let me grab my tweezers. I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue on the foam and center it in this green scallop here and press down. And then my 'Tis the Season sentiment, the green banner that you see in the back here, that measures 1 1/2 by 3/4 of an inch, and the white measures 1 1/2 by 5/8. And then I just cut a little banner right at the edge here. Just go in, cut a little banner. Okay. All right, let's put it on here, see where we want everything. I think that looks good. So I'm going to add some hot glue. And I placed it underneath the scallop a little bit. Put hot glue on the back of that. Line up my scallop. And push down. And that's it, guys. And then all I did was put 3 glue dots down here and put some sequins on. I'm using green, gold, and red sequins. Just pop that in the glue. I love this glue. It dries clear. So keep that in mind when you're using liquid glue. You want to make sure if it's white, it dries clear, so you don't have any white blobs on your cards. Okay, I have those on. Just going to use my rag and get the excess off. And then the same thing up here, but I'm just going to put 2 on for now because I can't find my gold one. I'll find it in a second. But I just want to get this video done for you. And green, and then I would normally put a gold one right there. And then that's it, guys. That is our 3 by 3.5 high crisscross pocket card with the envelope. I hope you guys enjoyed this project, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy crafting.